Hello there, this is Alora, and I'm a prequel trilogy kid.
And this is Dave, and I'm an original trilogy kid. And you're listening to What Does Star Wars Mean to You? The show where we talk to all kinds of fans of the franchise, from industry insiders to indie artists, from obsessive mythologists to mega collectors, all for one goal, to take the hate out of the debate by focusing on one fan at a time to find out, what does Star Wars mean to you? Plus, it's just fun to chat Star Wars.
It is. It's become our favorite pastime. I say that every
Yes.
week. I need to come up with another comeback.
I don't know. I like that you say that every week. It's kind of, to me, it's amusing.
It's our favorite pastime.
Yeah.
Welcome to our Cantina chatter. Dave and I deep dive on our favorite aspects of guest interviews and discuss what's interesting in the world of Star Wars to us this week. But we're recording this chatter at 10 a.m. on a Sunday, so my cup has Earl Grey in it. And not anything from the Cantina.
Mine has lemon tea.
Yes,
And
with
honey.
apple cider vinegar, I believe.
Yes, with apple cider vinegar. I'm
Yeah.
going to flush out my system today.
Nice, good for you. We talked to P.A. Cornell last week.
We did. She's a speculative fiction author, has won a lot of awards, and is a big Star Wars fan.
What was your biggest takeaway or favorite moment from our chat?
I think she had a lot of great kind of philosophical statements about Star Wars. And one of my favorite was the idea. I think the question was, what does Star Wars provide to us as a message? And she said that Star Wars is about keeping in mind other people's needs, not just your own selfish needs. Star Wars is about creating a world and protecting that world from being exploited. And I never looked at it that way before, as much like Rose says in The Last Jedi, we want to save what we love, not kill what we hate, or something along those lines.
And that's how we'll win. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I think that is, I think what PA said is connected to that line as well. And it's very true that, the Empire is very exploitive, and the Rebel Alliance really wants to just protect people's rights to kind of live and try to eke by.
Yeah. Well said, PA. Well summarized by Dave.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. How about you? What was your takeaway?
I love any time I'm reminded of how brave we are as kids. I feel like children have no real fear. There's just kind of this abandon of I'll just call them up, or I'll just send a letter, or there's no, I don't know, you're not corrupted by the world, or you haven't been shoved down enough times to realize things like success can be really hard to achieve. And I just I don't know, I just feel like kids hustle, right? Since when did we stop doing the lemonade stands and the, whatever? And so she told this fun story about how she read The Science of Star Wars, and at the end of the book, the author's contact information was there. And she wrote to her and was just I love science and I love Star Wars. And she didn't know it, but this author was the director of the Odyssey writing workshop, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah. That's actually what kind of got her started on her eventual career as an author, was that she just found this book. She loved both those things. She saw contact information. She said, yeah, I'll send a letter.
Yes.
And ended up in this workshop. And I think she said she was one of the youngest people there and kind of out of her element. And I think she said that she also kind of went about it, there's just a naivete, I think, that you have when you're a kid, that luck is also part of it, but that can also yield you a lot when you're excited and passionate about something, and you're just whether it's brave or naive enough to just be yeah, this is mine, I could do this. That's kind of half the formula right there. And when did we lose that, and how do we get it back? That's my question.
If you want to bring it back to Star Wars, it's just like when Anakin got into the ship on Naboo. It was this is pod racing. He was too naive to know that he was going into a battle. But he went. But he went. My actual first thought was Luke saying, 2 meters is big enough. I used to shoot womp rats on my T-16 back home. And then I thought, well, Luke Skywalker was 19 or 18 or 17, whatever age he was supposed to be.
I feel like we still have a little bit of it, though, because we kind of have that attitude of, like, we're smarter than our parents.
Yes, you're absolutely right.
You don't lose that until you're, like, 22 and you're like, oh, wait, I have to, you're like, out of college and you're like, sorry, life costs how much?
Yeah, exactly.
So this week into the data pad, we were inspired by a hilarious story that PA told during her interview.
Yes.
She saw A New Hope in theaters with her family, and her younger brother, I believe, had to go to the bathroom. So Dad accompanied him and missed the scene where Obi-Wan dies. And comes back and leans over at some point and goes, what happened to the old man? So today we thought it could be fun to list like our top 3 most pivotal, like, do not miss these moments from Star Wars, which was harder than it sounds. I came up with a list of much more than 3, but just like narrowed it down to 3. So I feel like there's too many.
Barely came up with a list of 3.
But, oh, really?
I feel like thinking about Andor into Rogue One into A New Hope, I feel like it's all dominoes. And if you take one of those dominoes out, the story just kind of stops, but it doesn't change a lot. And I think that was where where I was trying to figure out, like, if I because the other thing we want to do is we were going to challenge each other to be like, okay, so if that scene never existed, if that comes out of the story, what happens then?
What's the what if? Yeah.
Yeah, the what if. And so with the Rogue One, Andor to A New Hope connection, I feel like that's just such a long line of dominoes that any piece you take out just crumbles the story. And so it's like, what are the most pivotal moments, I guess is
the question.
Is the question.
I found so many because at first I was thinking of like all of Star Wars, and then my list got so long that I was like, I'm going to focus it in on her story. Like what? Yes. Like I'm going to focus it in on like, you know, going to the movies and seeing it in the theater. Not because like you could pause your TV at home.
Yeah.
So like I had many from Andor, and then I was like, well, that's ridiculous because you could rewind. Like, what's the moment that you can't miss when you're at the movie theater?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. No, I think that's a really good way of looking at it. And I felt like I was imagining myself going to the bathroom and coming back for each of these. Should I just do my first one?
Yeah. Why don't you kick us off?
I don't know if this is not a surprise at all, but my first one, Empire Strikes Back, if you get up and go to the bathroom right when Luke lands on Bespin and you come back after the lightsaber fight, or even if you like get up to go as soon as the lightsaber fight starts and you miss, no, I am your father. If you miss that line, you miss like everything that Empire Strikes Back is driving to. Like, you'd come back to Luke on the underbelly of a city on some reverse antenna. He's missing his hand. He's calling out to Leia. You're like, what happened to this guy? And then he's on the couch or the medical bed of the Falcon, and Vader's on the Star Destroyer, and Vader goes, Luke. And Luke goes, Father. And Vader goes, Son. And you'd be like, wait, who, what just happened?
Yeah. You'd think you were having a stroke.
Yeah, exactly. Did they just casually throw that away, that they're related? Like, also, it's just like, they're related? That would be awesome. But I also think if you took this line out completely, like if this moment's not in the movie at all, what if this moment were not in the movie at all? You'd remove the from a certain point of view scene from Return of the Jedi, because now I feel like Yoda and Ben were not in any hurry to tell Luke that his dad was Vader.
No.
And so I think you eliminate that. I also think Luke might kill Vader on the Death Star. Luke never looks for the good in him because he's like, even if he feels some good, he's like, guy still killed my dad, as far as he knows.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think the only thing is the Emperor would probably be all catty and taunt him on it. He'd be like, you know what's happened to your father, do you? That was the worst Emperor ever, but whatever.
No, actually, that was pretty good.
But he probably would have tried to bait Luke with that. Mm-hmm. And Luke probably would have been like, no, you're a crazy old wizard. Shut up, Emperor. I'm not having any of that.
Shut up, Emperor.
That's if I ever get to write a Star Wars, that's a line I'm going to have in it. Shut up, Emperor.
That is the scene that, like, if you missed it. And you know what?
Yeah.
Probability, somebody did.
Yes.
And what was their movie-going experience? I'd like that person to come onto the pod.
They've only seen Empire Strikes Back once, and they were peeing during that scene.
And they've just, like, insisted for the rest of time that Star Wars is not a good movie.
It makes no sense. All of a sudden, they're related? Why? I don't get it. How about you? What's one of yours not to miss moments?
Pulling from the prequel, surprise to nobody, Anakin's slaughter of the Tusken Raider village.
Oh.
Because I think in missing this scene, his actions later will feel very abrupt and really without cause. This, like, panic and betrayal and the lying and the eventual murder of younglings, everything that he kind of, like, spirals into before eventually becoming Darth Vader doesn't feel earned without that scene.
Yes,
the creation of Darth Vader loses a lot of its magnitude. And that's true, too, in the novelization. Like, if that whole chapter went missing, like, there's a lot of internal struggle and monologue that it's the pivotal moment that gives his character so much depth, especially his character as Darth Vader. Violence has kind of always been Anakin's coping mechanism for fear and I think pain. And verbal violence too. I mean, he's a pretty, like, mouthy young kid. Like,
he is.
He's got a lot of spunk, and it's not that it's not justified, but that has always he's very quick to anger. And I think that the grief for his mother and just his impulsiveness and his arrogance and stuff, I don't think Palpatine would have had as much success turning him. I think that he needed him to be really angry and really bitter, and that the best way of achieving that was to take mom away. Like, that's always kind of like there's a mother-son thing there, right?
Yeah.
And arguably, if it hadn't been his mother, it would have been Padme, I think. Probably would have been the next best thing. I thought about Obi-Wan for a little while, and then I was like, it's just not as... Because he betrays Obi.
Yeah.
But he would never betray Padme.
Yes, I agree.
If he harmed Padme, we never get Luke and Leia. Like, we never get the destruction of the Death Star. The Empire wins.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, in a lot of ways, Palpatine failed by taking Shmi over Padme. He lost in that decision far before he lost in any other. I
have two things about that. But one, that kind of nicely that statement leads into my number two.
Okay, perfect.
And then, but before I go into that, when you said the Tusken Raider scene is Anakin on his own, it's not. Palpatine did not set that up. Everything in Revenge of the Sith, I think Palpatine sets up as like boundaries for Anakin in order to guide him to the dark side.
Yeah.
But this, you see that the dark side is in him already. That it's innate. And so it makes it, you're absolutely right, it makes him Vader in that moment, but not motivated by Palpatine, which makes it like, yes, he's gonna turn to the dark side because he has it in him to do so.
Yeah, he's capable of it. Where do we stand on the theory that it was Palpatine, though, that kind of set that whole thing in motion?
I don't know, because now that I just said that, I don't know if I want Palpatine to set everything in motion. Like, I want Anakin to have his own, his own responsibility in his decisions, I think.
Yeah. I agree with that. How does this lead into your second one, though? You said it was a nice lead-in.
Yes. You were talking about Padme and Palpatine. Like, maybe if Palpatine had taken away Padme, that would have done something. But so my second one And my second one is the Darth Plagueis scene from Revenge of the Sith. When have you heard of the tale of Darth Plagueis or Plagueis? I always call him Darth Plagiarism.
Plagiarism.
I don't know why.
That's funny.
But Darth Plagueis. Mm-hmm. During that scene, the first time I saw the movie, I was like, "Oh, this is an opera scene. I need to pee." And I missed the scene the first time I saw the movie.
Oh, so you actually did miss this one.
I actually did this, yes.
And what was your takeaway from the film after?
Well, I think what it was like I missed a pivotal moment of Anakin's motivation in saving of joining the Sith to protect Padme.
Yeah.
Like that was what that scene was about, was Palpatine in his own snotty way saying, "Hey, I hear you're concerned about someone. I think I can help you."
Yeah.
And I think earlier Yoda was like, we can't help people we love because that's bad.
Yeah.
Essentially. That's not the exact quote, obviously.
No, but
bad
like,
it is to help people.
No. But it's
Jedi,
not really
we do not do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not. But
this is not the way.
Yeah, this is not the way. But so I miss that kind of interchange between scenes. Like, here's one view and here's another view.
Yeah.
And so when we get to the point where Anakin is turning to the dark side, I was a little like, this seems weird to me. This seems like it feels sudden. And yes, I will grant that within Revenge of the Sith, his turn feels abrupt regardless. But there are these little steps along the way that lead us to it.
Yeah.
If we take that scene out, it doesn't give Anakin the motivation to turn to the dark side. It's such great motivation. Maybe he turns to Obi-Wan and says, "Hey, I've talked to Yoda. I've talked to Papa Palps. What about you, Obi-Wan? What do you think?" And I think Obi-Wan would have given an answer in the middle between those two. And he would have been like, if you love her, you need to help her in a good way. Like, and the Sith is not going to do that. Let's try this. So I think if that scene doesn't happen, maybe Anakin doesn't turn. Maybe he doesn't join the dark side. And maybe they arrest Palpatine and put an end to it before it even starts.
Before it even begins. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, you missed like the pivotal manipulation moment.
I did.
You were just like, wow, this guy did not have to work hard.
Yeah. Well, I was like, well, he slaughtered a bunch of Tusken Raiders, so he has it in him.
I guess it makes sense, but like, wow, what a switch. Because like slaughtering Tusken Raiders and slaughtering younglings is actually, I could see being pushed to, in a way, I could see being pushed to violence if somebody you love deeply was like tortured, right?
Yes.
But to just like kill innocent kids that are at school is a completely different like.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's funny because I've never thought about how important the Tusken Raider scene is.
It's so important.
I always think of it more of like, that's what you do when the Tusken Raiders take your mom. But when you really you drill down into it, it's like, that's intense. He could have just snuck in, grabbed her, and snuck out.
No, it is. It's an intense reaction for sure. Especially the scale with which it's not like he only took the one guy whose hut she was in,
Yes.
It was an anger response. Yeah, it was definitely proving that he is capable of dark side, action.
I'm sorry to linger on this, but the other thing that I think is really cool is how it, what's the right word, teases what he feels about Amidala in the next one. Because he wakes up from a nightmare, it's like, my mom's in trouble. I have to go. And that's exactly the same steps in the Sith. It's like, my wife's in trouble. I have to do something. Wow. Every time we talk about Attack of the Clones, I'm like, I want to watch Attack of the Clones.
I fucking love that movie. I know it gets so much hate, but it's so good. Okay, but going from Attack of the Clones, I'm going back to A New Hope. My second one is Han returning to the Battle of Yavin.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Which is kind of a cop-out, because if you get up to pee mid-Battle of Yavin, like, it's kind of a criminal offense.
Yes.
You must be
You can't wait the
hurting.
10 minutes?
Yeah, like, you're in pain, because, like, why? So, like, you have an active UTI if you've left during the Battle of Yavin, but, you can cut that. But arguably, if Han doesn't return, Luke dies before the Death Star is successfully destroyed.
Before those missiles go off, the
100%.
torpedoes.
Vader has them locked in sight. So the Death Star survives.
Have now.
Yeah. The Death Star survives. The Rebel Alliance runs are futile, and it's very well set up that Luke is their last chance of hope because of his use of the Force. I mean, it's not explicitly said, but it's very obvious to the audience that that's true. The Emperor will win. There's no path to Anakin's redemption because Vader never learns that he has a son. And he's not changed by that son in those interactions.
Yes.
And what I love most about it is that Han's like just this ordinary dude. Like, he's a scoundrel. He wants an easy payday. He has no interest of rising to any occasion. He's like, everything's doomed and y'all are fucked. And I'm just out here to collect my, coin and stay as far away from y'all in the outer rim as possible.
Yes.
But he's changed, and he rises to an occasion, and he shows us that ordinary people have the ability to change the course of history, even though Luke is the one that really comes out triumphant from, his more magic wielding. He's got like a superpower, and he's definitely the hero of the day, but, it takes a village, I guess, is kind of my thinking. Like, there's a lot of teamwork in Han returning. Like, even the superhero's not successful until the ordinary dude shows up and goes, actually, get the fuck out of his way. So that's my second one.
That is awesome. That's a good one. That like if you miss that moment, you come back and you'd be like, wait, how did this? What? How did he survive that? Darth Vader was gonna.
You miss the destruction of the star as well, because there's no way you just miss that one moment. But like the why, that happened. It's so significant to, I think, the greater messaging of Star Wars. Obviously, I touched on already like how it would have changed the story if Han didn't return, and it would have been a very different Star Wars. But I think from an audience, like what you're supposed to walk out with the movie, like, kind of the more subliminal messaging part of it all, I think you miss a really pivotal like statement from Lucas.
Yes, totally agree. It can take an ordinary person to change the course of destiny.
Yep.
You said it takes a village. And in my head, because we're talking about Vader, I heard it takes a villain. And now I want to write a book called It Takes a Villain. And I don't know, maybe it's kind of like
That's true too.
Yeah, right?
What's your third one?
Mine is from the sequel trilogy.
Okay.
And it's from The Last Jedi. And
my favorite of the sequels.
Yes. And it is, if you get up and pee just before Kylo Ren kills Snoke, you would come back and have no idea what happened to Snoke.
Nope.
It just, like, the rest of the movie, you'd be like, wait a minute, where's Snoke? What
you also
happened to
missed
Snoke?
the hottest scene in all of Star Wars.
Yes.
When she gets up and they turn back to back.
Yes. Yes. I think I think it's such a great surprising moment.
It is.
There's part of me that doesn't like the choice of killing Snoke in that movie, but there's a part of me that's like, oh, what a like surprising turn that says so much about Kylo Ren.
Yeah.
And it shows that Kylo is really ambitious and conniving and literally wants to kill the past. And Snoke is part of his past. But if that scene didn't happen, if Kylo Ren never kills Snoke, I mean, he stays alive, and it changes like Rey's ability to get back to Crate to save them. She still may be a prisoner with them. It changes how Kylo approaches Crate because he may be a little more restrained because Snoke is still his leader.
Mm-hmm.
Snoke may have seen through Luke's projection trick.
Mm-hmm.
I think his force projection, a lot of it works because Kylo is so blinded with rage. I think Snoke might be able to see through that and just go, hey, Kylo, send a battalion over to the back door of the cave and we'll just round these suckers up.
Yeah.
And so it's this pivotal moment that, changes who wins the next couple of moments.
Yeah.
And I think that's what, like, a lot of what we've been talking about, like who comes out on top as the next dominoes fall.
Yeah. No, that's such a good point because Snoke is the mastermind behind Kylo's kind of more brute force.
Yes, he is.
He's got too much of his grandfather in him to be a strategist.
Yes.
I think Ben would do a better job, but Ben's not at the helm. Kylo is.
Yes, I agree. I think Ben would have done a better job, but he's not at the helm.
When he comes back, he does.
Yeah,
he
does.
He does a really good job. I'm going back to the prequels. I'm going to go. I love that you went to each trilogy. I should have done that, but I'm excited about this one. We're going back to Phantom Menace and Padme recruiting the Gungans army. Is a moment not to miss. And I could see how I was also trying to think of moments that, like, I wasn't successful in all my examples, but like kind of fall at points of the film where it does feel like a fall from the action. Like, oh, I could quickly slip out here kind of a thing.
Yeah. Like during my Darth Plagueis speech.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, oh, this is just an opera part. Like, I'm going to quickly go and, do whatever. I could see this falling at a point in the film where someone could be like, I have 30 seconds, right?
Yes.
But I don't believe, so without that moment, if you miss Padme specifically, I think kneeling to Boss Nass and humbly asking for his help, you miss a very pivotal piece of her character and leadership and how collaborative and like her more just like, you definitely get examples of her diplomatic approach, but I think that that's like the best example of it, especially as such a young queen. And it's what saves her people in the end. And if she doesn't do that, so you miss the moment, it never happens. I think Naboo falls to the Trade Federation. I think that they definitely lose. It doesn't seem like she has an army to command, and her going to the Gungans proves that. Like, we spend the whole film hearing about her security force, but like there's a storm on the palace in Parliament or whatever you want to call it, and her very small group of security is the only ones there defending her. And like, it just feels like kind of short-sighted thinking, but it also speaks to how Naboo kind of operates. They're a much more like diplomatic society. They don't fight wars, they fight with words, and that's kind of, so like, why would you need an army kind of attitude? And they lose if they don't have the thousands of Gungan troops. I'm assuming it's thousands, I don't know, hundreds of Gungan troops. She doesn't like capture...
It's like the whole battlefield,
Yeah.
If you walk back in and all of a sudden this army's coming out of the water and like marching on the droids, you'd be like, oh, I missed something.
Yeah. And like, it's not as if, Theed has a partnership with the Gungans that like, if ever under attack, that their military just is kind of contracted to show up. She has to go and ask for their help.
Yes.
So... yeah, I mean, they never capture the Trade. The Trade Federation conquers Theed. Naboo falls to like Newt Gunray and like all of them. They're never at all, apprehended. Chancellor Valorum gets off the hook because he refuses to act this entire time, and he would continue to work in a corrupt, fashion.
Oh, you're right. Yes. Yeah.
And Anakin also in this action sequence destroys a part of the droid army control ship and really significantly weakens the droid army, which is very important in the next movie.
Yes.
And that is a very pivotal moment. So it all comes down to Padme kneeling before
Boss Nass.
Boss Nass, thank you. Yeah. That's a moment not to miss. Dave, what do you got for me in the dark side today?
Okay, so this is Dave's dark side, and it is a chance for me to be selfishly critical of things. You know,
my new
because we
favorite
like to
corner
take
of the internet.
we like to take the hate out of the debate, but we also have, dark side thoughts. I think the last one, you were like, "Oh, you found your way to the light side" at the end of it. And I feel like I already have found my way to the light side. So I'll start on the dark side.
Okay.
When the trailers for Mandalorian Grogu dropped and all the Hutts were speaking English and Martin Scorsese's character, four-handed street meat character was speaking English, I was a little bit like, don't we have too much English in here? Like to me, one of the things Star Wars does is feels foreign, and by using alien languages to feel out of this world. And I remember when The Mandalorian, in the first episode of The Mandalorian, I think it's Horatio Sands plays the Mandalorian's first bounty. And he was like this blue-faced, kind of fishy guy. I remember him as a fishy guy. He had this Horatio Sands voice. And I was like, this is awkward to me. And then, so I was complaining to my friends about that. And I probably complained to you about it. I then, when I saw Mandalorian and Grogu, I felt like, you know what? They speak Huttese a little bit. Like at the top of scenes, they speak Huttese. And then they drift into English, which to me was like saying, look, they're speaking Huttese, but not everyone can read subtitles for a long period of times. Like a 6-year-old or a 7-year-old may miss things. So that totally makes sense. I also feel like where we are now within the evolution of Star Wars, after 15 years of cartoon, like Clone Wars, Rebels, Bad Batch, that cartoons naturally stay English. There's not a lot of subtitles. And again, that's for kids. Like it's an ease of storytelling to people who may not be able to read or have the reading comprehension of what you would hope an adult would have. But I have my doubts about that. Different dark side corner. And so I feel like this complaint I'm pulling back on. And more of like, you know what, this is more for children. This is more for expressing story and getting it through. They did do it within the movie. I felt like they did it enough where it felt like, hey, they are speaking Huttese, but we're just making it in English for simplicity. And so, that's my dark side this week.
No, I like it. It's actually making me realize we have not talked on mic about Mandalorian and Grogu.
We have not.
I loved it. How did you feel?
I really enjoyed it. I have thoughts, but for the most part, I was smiling. I was enjoying it. Yeah. It felt like a Mandalorian and Grogu episode in the best of ways. Yeah. It felt very Star Wars, but different. You know, you have this father-son tale that is a optimistic one as opposed to the pessimistic tale of Luke and Vader.
Or Han and Ben.
Or Han and Ben. Exactly. Yeah. Like, I don't think we'll have patricide in a Grogu Mandalorian movie.
You know, we watched the trailers and we were all excited and I went into the theater expecting like to sit down and watch basically like a comic book come to life. And I do think that comic books tend to veer a little bit more older than younger. I think they're actually very sophisticated in their violence and their action and stuff. But while we were sitting in the theater pre-trailers, there was like, you know, the ads running. And a couple of the ads included like, it was like Disney, and then there was a kid in one of the advertisements that had his Grogu bed sheets and his Grogu stuffy and like all this stuff. And then the trailer started to roll and they were all like the kids movies coming out. It was like the Minions movie and, you know, and that kind of thing. And I had this epiphany just before the movie started that I wasn't going in to see an action comic book come to life. I went in to see a kids movie.
Oh, wow. Yes. I mean,
And
I agree with that, but
I
I
wasn't
like
mad
that
about
angle, that
Yeah,
expression.
I wasn't mad about it, but it just like, it was like a light went off in my head and like the light bulb lit up, right? And I
Yes.
was just like, oh, you don't play these trailers unless the audience in the room is predominantly under the age of 12. Like,
Yes, yes, yes.
And of course that's not true because like Star Wars, it, goes generations. And so all the people around me were, definitely much older, but like that's who it was made for. And there's
Yes.
nothing wrong with that. And I thoroughly enjoyed it through the lens of, being a kid versus analyzing it as a, media literate graduate school adult who has a Star Wars podcast where we, dive into all of the nitty gritty. And so I left feeling really jazzed by it. And I had run into some folks I knew and they were like, it was okay. It was a little long in parts. And like, they had like some criticism for it. And I was like, but it was the perfect kid movie structure. Like,
yes.
And it felt very like classic structure too. Like it brought me back to early Pixar or, more kind of like 90s, early 2000s film structure where they weren't afraid to have a 7-minute sequence of an alien building a cave. Like,
yes, yeah.
Like they weren't worried about their audience getting bored.
I think the Grogu building that Adobe hut, I thought was so funny because because it was literally what Yoda lived in. And you're like, oh, these guys, this race, this is what they do. They know how to make Adobe huts.
It's instinctual, the same way the bees make a honeycomb shape in their in their hives. Like it is in the DNA. Yeah.
It's in their DNA.
I loved it. I loved everything about it. I would see it again. I don't know. I enjoyed feeling like I was 10 years old for 90 minutes.
I totally agree. Mm-hmm. Watching it, I had a couple, listening to you, I'm reminded of a couple of my thoughts. One, it was the second Star Wars movie that can stand alone 100%.
Yes.
Like, solo Star Wars story, you can be like, oh, you don't need to see a Star Wars to kind of enjoy it. But this one truly felt like, I think it was DB from Hyperspace Heroes who said that Star Wars Episode 4 is the one Star Wars movie that just stands alone. Mm-hmm. But now there's a second one, and this one's it. And what a great entry point for people to get into the world. The other thing I felt about it was, this is going to be a weird comparison, but it was much more about a vibe than it was about a plot. And that, to me, is reminiscent of Star Trek V, the Final Frontier.
Okay.
Because Star Trek V is not a great movie when you look at plot and structure and stuff. But when you look at it as three guys who are good old friends, who are on kind of what could have been one last adventure together, and the movie is just about their friendship and how they survive because they have each other. That's the vibe of the movie. And that's what I felt like with this movie. This is about these, the Mandalorians and Grogu's relationship to each other, their father and son relationship, and how they survive with each other. And I thought it was beautiful. I really
It was. It was really beautiful. And like I've seen criticism online. God, I read one guy's article, some journalist that reviews movies, and it was just like talking about how, I'm not going to give their name a platform here, but their argument was that, it was like ruining Star Wars and like everything great about Star Wars was like sucked out. And I'm like, where?
Yeah,
because I'm sorry that the film had a very distinct beginning, middle, end. Kids need that kind of structure when they're watching a movie. There were some really silly points because it was supposed to be a fun summer movie that's funny. The stakes were high enough. I didn't miss a lightsaber once. And there were jokes in there that would have gone over children's heads, which makes the best kind of kid fic. Like, I don't know. I just I'm tired of this idea that Star Wars always has to now rise to some kind of like Andor level intensity or structure. Like,
there's this expectation that Star Wars has to be so much deeper than X. And does it have to be? I don't know. What does Star Wars mean to you, I guess?
Turn the prequels on again and sit down and touch grass. Like, I don't know.
Now we're in E's dark side.
Yeah. Okay, fine. I'm done.
We spun around.
That's it. Yeah, we've come full circle. Get over it. How about that?
So that's what Star Wars means to us this week. I want to thank P.A. Cornell again for sharing her Star Wars story with us. I want to ask you, what are the moments you think are can't miss in Star Wars? And what are the what ifs if you do miss those moments or those moments are taken out? Yeah. What do you think we got right? What do you think we got wrong? And then our Dark Side Corner and impromptu review of Mandalorian Grogu. Yeah. Tell us what you thought. You can do so on social at Star Wars Mean to You. That's at Star Wars Mean, the number 2 and the letter U. And next week, we have a content creator, a podcaster, a YouTuber, Brian Barry. He does the show Pink Milk, Serving Star Wars Queerly. And listening to his show, he sounds like he's going to be a lot of fun to talk to. So I'm looking forward to it.
Me too. It'll be fun.
Yes. And until then, may the Force be with you.
And with you.